Okay, let's now preview another big game coming up in the Premier League this weekend. Arsenal against Nottingham Forest. Top of the table, Arsenal slipped up against Southampton last time out. I was there at St Mary's. Very good point for Saints and Arsenal. I think just took them a little bit for granted. For the first time this season, you just saw them maybe not match the intensity they've had for most of the campaign. For Nottingham Forest, they're buoyant. I mean, going into this one off the back of beating Liverpool, that was a huge upset result for Steve Cooper, breathed new life into their season. And Nick, I'm going to come to you. I mean, when Arsenal kick off this game, Man City could actually be top of the table, right? They play earlier in the weekend. So that psychological effect and impact on this young Arsenal team, how do you think that will really impact them, I guess? Because they haven't had to deal with that so far. They've just been top. They've been flying, winning games. But now we've seen a few little bumps in the road. Be interesting to see how they react, right?
Yeah, I think it will be interesting. My faith, however, in what we've seen from them so far and the way that Arteta is speaking and the belief that he has rallied around himself says that they should be fine. I just think they should be fine in this instance. However, there is that looming thing, and it's going back to our Champions League discussion. It's the same thing as every time Man City's in a tough spot in a knockout game in Europe. Until you've done it, we've got questions. And you're right to ask that question. So I think we'll learn a lot. Well, I don't want to go too much. We'll learn something this weekend.
We'll learn something. We have been learning a lot about this Arsenal team. Still very young, youngest team in the Premier League. And Andy, one of the things I noticed in their draw against Southampton, I mean, Gabriel Jesus was still popping up in dangerous areas, but it looked like a little bit more cumbersome for him. He looked a little jaded. I know that they're playing, rolling out the same guys week after week at the moment. Is there a bit of a danger there for Arsenal? I mean, I think Nottingham Forest will do something very similar to what Southampton did, sit in deep, look to spring counters. And with Saliba and Gabriel, I mean, sometimes you see that they're a little bit susceptible to pace on the counter in one-on-one situations. So that's where Forest could get at Arsenal and kind of what they did to Liverpool as well. So is there a blueprint there to play against Arsenal, just developing?
That is... Yeah, it's not developing. That's the classic blueprint for playing a young, free-flowing, ambitious, talented team like this Arsenal team is. And it's also, we need to remember, this is the first time most of these players, I guess, Jesus and Zinchenko aside, and maybe that's about it, have never really had like the expectations of the world on them in the way that this Arsenal team does now. And it's not just, hey, this team could win the Premier League. This team could go on and challenge arguably an all-time great Manchester City team with probably going to be an all-time great striker in probably going to be an all-time great season for that. Like the challenge that they are up against this season, I think is really, really massive. And the start that they've had, I think has given people a lot of hope that they could withstand for 38 games. And that's just such a long time when you think about it and the number of games. And so I'm curious to see. I'm not saying one way or another, not because I don't want to be wrong, but because I don't know at this point. We've not seen enough pressure situations for this Arsenal team. I don't know that you could call last weekend a pressure situation, but I will say the second that they went 4 points clear at the top of the table because Manchester City lost the previous week, they immediately dropped points. So I don't know. We will see. We will see.
We will see, indeed. Nick, Nottingham Forest, what do you think about them? Obviously, it's a big call to give Steve Cooper the new contract, back him totally. It's obviously working. They put in some improved defensive displays, look a lot more solid. Was that the key to Forest, just getting all these new players up to speed with how to play as a team, a unit? And you know what? They've got some good attacking pieces, right, as we saw against Liverpool.
Yeah, I think that's a part of it. I think just giving him the new contract said a lot. It says that they're not going to bail on a guy who got him there, a guy who has some history in England of doing some impressive things. They know the pieces they had to give him. They're aware of what could await them if they have to go back down. And I think defensive displays, he now, given the new contract, he can do that without worrying that he's going to be judged, right? Like, I'm going to get pragmatic here. This is not the Forest I want us to be in 2 months. This is not the Forest I want us to be next year. But guess what? It's going to be 5 at the back. It's going to be, I mean, can I just say this every time? Maybe it's the no sponsor on the front of the shirt, but every time they show a a picture, a close-up of Steve Cook, I just think about how much I wouldn't want to fight him. He's a massive man, and they're leaning on these big, tough guys. Ryan Yates might be the most annoying player in the Premier League for an opponent right now. He's just constantly after you. And if that's their plan, to sit back and be after you and then let those attacking pieces get after it, they'll I don't want to say they'll be safe, but they're going to give everybody else a run for their money.
Yeah, I mean, it's kind of the saying, right? Horses for courses. They just figured out this season now. They know exactly how they're going to play it, and they know their identity as a team now. And it's probably, like you said, Nick, not the pure footballing style that Steve Cooper is known for throughout all of his coaching career so far. And that's okay. For this season, just stay in the Premier League, know what you're all about, and then you can develop and build on that. We've seen other teams do that after their first couple of seasons in the Premier League. So it's going to be exciting to see what Forest do, but I think most of our eyes will be on Arsenal to see if they can react from dropping points at Southampton, prove that was just a bit of a one-off that happens throughout the season, and if they can go again and put the pressure on all the other teams around them at the top and just accelerate away just before the World Cup break. I think it's key for this Arsenal team. They go into the World Cup break on top of the table, then that's going to look very good for them and just help their confidence levels over that 5-6 week break for when they come back in late December to say, okay, we're the big guys. Everyone's talking about us still. There's positive columns. There's a lot of good analysis about how good we are. And I think those confidence levels just kind of just bounce off all those young Arsenal players and bring out the best in them. But you're right, Andy. The first time they kind of had the opportunity to extend the lead a bit and they slip up, there's just a few little doubts there, which I'm sure everyone in the comments section from an Arsenal perspective are going to agree with. But deep down, I'm sure they've had a few of the doubts as well throughout the season, as good as it has been so far for Arsenal. So head over to Pro Soccer Talk on NBCSports.com for all the latest news ahead of this game preview, how to watch information, team news. We'll have you covered with the recap, analysis, and reaction as well. It's going to be a fun one between Arsenal and Forest. Everyone's expecting a home win, but the tricky trees have proved they're pretty tricky in recent weeks, indeed.
Hi there, I'm Rebecca Lowe, studio host for NBC's coverage of the Premier League. Don't forget to hit subscribe to watch more videos all season long. For even more Premier League content, from original series to live matches, head over to Peacock and be sure to tune in for Premier League mornings every weekend on USA Network and on Peacock. We will see you over there.